I can't help but speak out. Today I'm going to speak out for the children. And the reason why, because summertime is here, and I know these kids will be at home. Some will be going into some programs, summer camp, but the majority of kids will be at home. I hope that this message that I quote and bring to you enlighten you, give you awakening, and adopt in your brain level where it will stick like food. So here we go. So here we go. Yeah. So I'm really concerned about food dyes. When I'm talking about food dyes, I'm talking about food that has color in it. When I'm speaking on that, I want you to think about cereals, puddings, yogurt, candy, donuts, processed food. Our children today are exposed to so many different dyes. Red 40 is a big one, and the most dangerous one is yellow 5. There's a numerous of dyes. There's blue 1, blue 2, green 3, and red 3, and red 40. And I did mention red 5 and yellow 6. Let me give you a understanding about food. These foods contain so many dangerous chemicals, and they're made from petroleum. And that they do is cause so many different behaviors. One of the behaviors that it does cause kids to enact, have attention deficits, hyperactive, and the behaviors of being aggressive. Some of those foods that we intake is not really cared or given a you can fill in the blank. These foods causes allergies, headaches, and I did explain to you about aggressive behavior. One of the main things that parents do, they buy groceries, of course, for their kids, of course. And during this summertime, children intake more, snacks. They require more soft drinks. And one of the leading things that contain these dyes, which is targeting small children and us as well as grown-ups. These drinks and candies and popsicles, especially the hot chips, they are coated with these dyes. And the enormous amounts that causes these reactions for children who have hypertension, who can't be still, and who have allergies or headaches. This is the cause of these foods. They not only affect us as how we eat and our intake, it is a prolonged persistence, and it does something over years because the intake is aggressive eating. You know how you have a child that have their favorite snack, and you purchase that snack, and you find yourself purchasing the snack all the time. Well, let me give you some things about children this year in the summertime. The more they consume these different dyes, the more they have their body reaction. And some of these sodas and Kool-Aid and stuff of that nature is made of these synthetic foods. It targets low income people like myself. Low income people end up going into these grocery stores where the Food Administration does not put any warning signs to let you know that these foods should not be eaten, they should be not even intaked. And some of the things that you might be purchasing is yogurts, chewing gum. Soda is very dangerous. The aestheticness of a child intaking soda, it's like intaking acid into your system. And you can imagine if you took some a Coke, let's say Pepsi, or and poured it. The worst soda is Mountain Dew. That itself is contains real yellow 5. That can cause cancer. Who would have known? No, see, we don't look at labels. We go by our desired intake, our needs. We're not paying any attention to if this food is going to harm us. Is it going to cause us serious health problems? And with children who have ADHD and children take in these food coloring, they suffer the most because those children are very sensitive and it does change their behaviors. And the thing about some of these dyes, they also cause cancer, and children who have ASD affects their neural. Children are developing, and these developments does affect how they think, how they react, and their mood swings. Most of the children who intake a lot of these foods are not knowing that something like Skittles, the dyes are so colorful that they put that on the food to market. And what it does, it makes you excited. It gives you a really happy feeling. But what it does inside you, it stops development. It causes disorders. It affects the speech, the verbal communication. It causes children to constantly desire repetition. And children with ASD and ADHD are at risk of taking red dyes. It triggers anxiety and aggressive behavior. Now, we have to look at why are our children in violence so much? It's also from the environment, the foods they eat, and not having enough places to expand their activities. In Solano County, in the Vallejo area, children may have what we call summer camp. But when it comes down to a daily, weekly, weekend activity for kids to explore and learn and kind of like girls club and boys club atmosphere, they don't have that. So when you put together with food that is not healthy and causes different behaviors and don't give kids an outlet, football and basketball, not every kid does that. There are some children who are so sensitive where they're poetry and they like reading and they like painting and drawing. They have no atmosphere. They have no place to go to. They have no outlet. Unfortunately, this is where our children fail. It is not because they are failure to themselves. It's because they don't have any expression. Their emotions are locked in. And to let you understand, scientists have conducted research from 2020 to 23, finding processed foods like hot dogs and bologna and salami and ham, you know, sandwiches. These foods have certain things in them that causes children behavior. It takes them out of their relaxation and causes anxiety, mental problems, things that they will react in an aggressive behavior. They will get madder faster because they are not taught critical thinking, and there is no place for them to learn to get rid of those anxieties. So you see a lot of children who are either biting their fingernails, are either tapping their legs, are feeling insecure, are afraid, are having what we call low self esteem. These behaviors are meant and designed for children to have that anger and carry that on until they become adults. This is a very strange thing because the impact of these foods and the consumption seem to be at every corner store, every grocery store. A lot of kids don't eat fruits and vegetables. These targets are directly to children. During this time of summer, a lot of kids are out and about where they get thirsty and want something like a soda, the worst consumption a child can have. Another thing that happens, it delays children growth, and it impacts a stress that children are not knowing how to alleviate that. We as adults can sometimes know how to get rid of certain stress, but as a child, you're not taught these things. And so these things that seem to affect children and these dyes that are mixed, colorful, it looks cute, it tastes good. When you're thinking that you're feeding your child pudding, yogurt, and you hand them something processed, like you might have French fries that you put into the oven, and you want to get something fast, so you put it into the microwave. Our society is one of the biggest microwave users, which is one of the most dangerous things for children. And some of the foods that really scare us, we're not aware of. Blue one, which is in the popsicles. That coloring, when you're eating a frozen popsicle, it can be blue, it can be purple, it can be red. Those dyes. And when you're eating candy, and then when you're eating like Skittles and red color candy, M&Ms coated with different dyes on them, you're not taking into effect that this will have some recussion and is not healthy. Some of these candies and foods and dyes mostly have an impact on a human body. These dyes can affect the liver and the kidney. You would wonder, why is my child having these effects on their kidneys where they're using the bathroom in the bed? Why is my child being so aggressive when I explain to them they cannot do this? Why do my child don't sleep at night, stay woke, and go to bed at 1? Why is my child so off into space? Why is my child very hyper. Why is my child having a, a desire like a dolphin wanting candy? Why? This is one of the reasons why. Is because kids are targeted. And this time of the summer, this is one of the most dangerous times for children. Even though nobody is aware of what these effects, we as people of color and common ground are not reading labels. The administration of food administration, I'm going to say, does not care about your child. There is no warning signs. There was a man in 1771. He's a chemist. His name was Peter Wolfen. He actually created these dyes. His whole meaning was to make food look good. So today, as we stand in 2024, these dyes have become so dangerous that it is attacking our system. As we know back in the days, some of us are aware that grandmothers would cook food from scratch. There was never any knowledge about people having cancer, people having different hypersensitive, being allergy problems, having different factors where it had an impact. Children didn't have a lot of mental issues, obesities. Now that we look at what's happening in the low income communities, these artificial colorings, like if you have cheese and macaroni, that yellow is the worst. Combine these colors, as I say, and it's even in canned green peas, vegetables, ice creams, like sherbet, has those different colors. Now, looking at that, you would say, "Oh, that looks delicious. I can't wait to get some of that." But deep down inside, you're not aware what these foods and the Food Administration and these companies have trapped us. Now, children are having diseases, cancers, different emotions, different behaviors, and there is no warning on the labels. And all we know is to go into that grocery store and get the foods that we're used to eating. Now, this is a very live, living microwave society. We know how to put something in that microwave because it's fast. We want it. We want to eat it. But we're not looking at what the side effects are. So, scientists have studied food and the dyes since 2015. Well, they explain that it attacks the white blood cells. Now, the yellow dye, number 5, can cause tumors. And these tumors, you wouldn't even know you had them because over the effects of eating and intaking this food, it wouldn't probably show up until you're probably in your 40s or 50s. But these kids have no choice because the community doesn't emphasize or doesn't bring to forth any warning. And the Food Administration doesn't care. The FDA is not on your side. Again, we are at risk of colon cancer. We're at risk of high blood pressure. We are the lowest on the lowest when it comes down to health problems. We have a lot of sugary foods, eating Starbursts. Just imagine those different colors. Imagine those different dyes. Twinkies, Captain Crunch, sodas, sweet drinks, foods that we intake every day. And on that reading label, there's nothing that we can understand. We don't know about what these foods do to us. There is no one giving us a warning or even opening up our thought process. We're not aware of reading what is we should avoid. We are not aware of what processed foods do to us. And we're not aware what fruit drinks do to us. We just like to eat. We like to digest it. But we don't know what is in that food. So I'm going to take a moment to give you the best I could do because our children is at stake and so are we. When we go into a grocery store like Walmart, Food for Less, grocery outlet, Safeway. Now we know Safeway, you gonna end up spending some money. We don't think about, is our food going to be good for us? We have pesticides on our vegetables. We're intaking that as well. We can clean it off, rinse it off, but the best thing to do is get some sea salt, let your vegetables sit in that. Because back in the day when my mother used to make greens, she would put it in the sink and put salt all over it and let the water just let it sit. And it will absorb all that dirt or whatever was on the vegetables. And they would soak it and they would clean it. And that was what we knew. But nowadays, we can soak, we can clean it, and these pesticides are still on our vegetables. A lot of people think that the only way I can get good food is if I go to Whole Foods. It don't matter where you go, it's what you pick. It's a changing that you might have to want to change the food that you're eating. A lot of us have heavy around the stomach area, big around that particular area. And you're seeing now kids don't do as much as we growing up as running, playing outside, chasing each other, doing tags, playing baseball, just community stuff. This has been chopped off. There's nothing that we are able to give these kids. Unfortunately, we are going through a lot. We keep hearing over and over about children being very aggressive. When I say children, I'm talking about small kids up until high school students. Now I'm going to take a break and I'll be back. Power to the people. Welcome back to the power of the common people. Your host, the most, Marcy for MLK. Again, I'm trying to break it down. Now, I'm going to do the best I can with describing Blue One. That is very sad that these dyes are in popsicles, cakes, candy, cereals, and Blue 2 is in canned foods, vegetables, ice cream, and also in your cosmetics and hair products and body products. You imagine putting dyes on your skin and knowing that these dyes can contaminate your body and cause cancer and cause some other disease, or intaking this food that can have a reaction, an effect on your body and your intestines, and you pretty much wouldn't know because you won't be aware until you start getting stomach pains and something's going on with your liver, something happening to your kidneys. Your body will speak later. Finding out later on is the worst thing because these effects develop over time. And we are one of the persistence of wanting and desiring certain foods. We don't know the impact, but we know that this has got to stop. We just got to be more conscious minded and more focused and fight for ourselves. The children have been going through things that as a child I didn't have any effects or any of my friends. These children nowadays have so many different things going on and they are hyper. They have a lot of attention deficits. Some are unable to relate. We need to know and understand why is this a target toward our children? Why are they suffering in this manner? But then when I think about it, I think about the children in Haiti or in third world countries. They do way more suffering than these American children. So these dyes are so dangerous and it develops serious health problems, disorders. And like I said, children with ADHD are very sensitive. And we're thinking that giving them these foods that have a pretty color, candy, cause gastro problems. And it's so much to the fact that it affects the neural development. It affects their speech, their verbal communication, are putting words together, forming a sentence, or speaking up for themselves. These different effects are meant to happen. It is not that these dyes were thrown in, it's for the brain process. So children can be aggressive toward each other. They can battle. See, one of the things that we are having problems with is our young people not having an outlet, not knowing how to receive each other. You would wonder, where does a child get a gun from? Why are kids bullying each other? Why is communication, one of the factors in getting along with each other. You know, I noticed that I was in school. It was a group of kids. They were Filipino. They were holding each other, hugging each other, supporting each other. And I almost cried because I'd never seen that type of love with the children of a young age, of a child of color. They are deprived. They are deprived. Let me say that again. Somebody got to say something because we're starting to see children react in a way that's violence. And I know it's from these foods and the environment. You have children who are fighting against each other. One live on one block, one live way down the street, attacking each other. And the whole point of the whole thing is destruction. Back in the day, we used to walk miles. This is before I was born. When the civil rights, people did not have that type of violence. They got along because they were on the same road. They were going for the same attributes. And now that children don't have that same fight, they are at war with each other. They're not rising up. Some of our children have dropped out of schools, and there's nobody that's going to force them back in. Some of our kids will go into high school and call it a day after they finish high school and go work in a store or retail where they will never gain any income because it is a trap. This is a design trap. Kids are now catching cancer and bullets. Everything that they need to know, they're not going to get that. They are in a attack mode on each other. We the people need to understand, where are we headed? Where are we going? We already have been designed that the men of color have been discredited, disrespected. So now it's the women of color who have discredited and disrespected. We fight against each other. We're supposed to love each other. We're scared of each other. We're afraid of each other. We have a hypersensitive nature that we fear if we go into a large crowd that something's going to happen. The worst thing that can happen is us staying the same. We need to develop a better option. I'm trying to tap into somebody's head because we the people, the power to the people. I'm certain that as I continue podcasting, and I won't stop, when I hit you with this, I want everybody to understand it is our children. And now, between that gap, it is the adults. If we continue to keep going down this road, And Kool-Aid has been around for some years. Dangerous. That hits your system inside your stomach walls and stays there. It is a dye. Just like you take white pair of pants and you dye them black, and it's permanently. And the only way you can shoot it out is drinking water. A lot of people don't like water. You need to drink enough water because your body is deprived of that nutrients. And soda is a dangerous, very extremely dangerous. It's like, again, the worst thing to pour inside your system. It causes kidney and liver problems. And these dyes are sold in these specific stores. This is one of the reasons why people want to get healthy, because they know and care about themselves. Some of us are so stingy that we don't want to spend money on ourselves, but we'll spend money on some shoes, on a Louis Vuitton, on clothing that's way beyond our price. But why are you not spending money on the food you take inside you? Making food the old fashioned way, cooking it from scratch, is the most healthiest thing you can do. This is why we are going through these behavior patterns, a very strong, high pretension, and why we all carry high blood pressure, a salt intake overwhelming, and sugar. You might as well go ahead and snort some powder because it evaluates your brain to a level that you can't even take a knowledge to that, because you will be thinking and not connecting the dots. And this is where we come in with a lot of mental problems when it comes down to Alzheimer's. You have to think about, are you going to be around to see your generation of children? This is why we get a lot of problems with us. And the thing of it is, we don't have primary doctors that we can trust. We're giving the same thing. And the only time we go and get help if we're going to the ER. Who do we trust? Because it seems like everybody is target to get us. We don't have trust with each other. Every time we get somebody who we think is going to be for us, they're not for us. Now, I had to make a decision whether I wanted to vote. I realized I took the Malcolm X. Not going to do it. This is not for you. This is for me. My reasons is because these food dyes, synthetic foods made out of petroleum, makeups, food that is no good in the community. hospitals that don't cater to us but disrespect us. People who have these jobs, they could be people of color who don't have our back. Who do we turn to? Unfortunately, we are looking at our children. As we, as grown-ups, have no hope, these children have no hope. We're looking at people who are rappers who have, if I was them, I would get together, all of them, and give a free concert. No, let me take that back. Not a free concert. I would actually earn and get monies and double it up and make another community. Some of these real powerful people are turning their money over to putting labels of liquor. How is that going to help us? Labels of new clothing lines. That's making us spend more money. We are way behind. We still work for people. They still run us. If we can put more energy into other people, why not put energy into your family members? Some of us are able to connect, and some of us are afraid to connect with each other. We have been damaged, broken like glass. We have some very serious things happening. We need to communicate and help our children grow. I am very saddened that there is no place for these kids to go. These programs that are made up from different agencies. Where is Black Lives Matter? What have they done for the community? It was a lot of show and tell, but let's be for real. Where is the real at? Like I said, this summer is going to be a very challenging one. And when these kids have nothing to do, we have a lot of people who have, as child molesters, they have a better lifestyle than our children. So, blue dye 1, blue dye 2, green number 3, red number 3, red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6. It is roaming around in our communities, in our cabinets, in our refrigerators, and that's affecting us. And we are the consumers, and this is very real. We hurt each other, but why are we not hurting the people that's hurting us? We're not taking a stand to any of this. We're not speaking up on a real level. We talk more about Diddy and all the things that's on that keep us in a loophole. We want to be separate, but not in it. We don't want to be involved in it. We don't want to put our hands in it. It's time for us to start really taking a real serious look. We're not included in prosperity. We're not included Our children's is not included. We're like Santa Claus with the reindeers. Rudolph. We're the one with the Rudolph with the red nose. We're the most powerful people and don't know how to use our power. No, I'm telling you, we're laughed at. We are talked about. We are disrespected. When will we stand up and take it back? Now they messing with our kids, our babies. This is going too long and it's going too strong. Everybody wants money, and money is the root of all evil. And sometimes evil is the root to the person. Because again, they don't really care about you or me. And I'm sure that this might not, a lot of people may not listen. I don't really care. I just know that I'm doing my part of getting people of the coming people power to the coming people. And that message is going to linger on. I'm just trying to decrease the amount of these things happening. I'm waking somebody up. Read your labors. Read them. Eat healthier. Change your food habits. If you can go natural, go natural. I fast. It helps. I try to get rid of toxins. I drink a lot of water. And I meditate. Buying processed food taps into your head. You have irritable down there. Whenever you eat, you consuming meats. And if I told you about meat, my belief is I'm not going to eat another living thing because if you see the movie Planet of the Apes, where the humans become animals and they're chasing them around and capturing them and making them the food chain. Long as something has a living heart, I'm not going to eat it because you intake what it takes, whatever it ate. And some animals are wild and have tumors. When you look at the white part of the meat, when you're looking at it and it's raw, you need to examine that because those are tumors. And some think it's fatty tissue. Well, you're intaking that. I want you to take care of your family and yourself. But most of all, I need you to understand that the more healthier you are, the better you can think clear, the better you can sleep. And it's very important that you do those 8 hours of sleep. Force yourself. Worrying and stress is very dangerous. We overthink, and our children are starting to pick this up. They're doing things that adults do now. They're on the computer playing games, and they don't have any places to express themselves. Reading books is good for kids. It helps them. If you can take them to the library and let them start reading books, it would only help them to grow. And it also helps with their critical thinking so they can learn how to use their thought process and imagination and create the mind and build up the mind as a muscle. It's very important that we raise these boys. If I could do it all over again, I wish I could. Because some of these young men don't have any respect for the older men because of what happened. We have a huge gap with the young ladies and the older young ladies. We're starting to have gaps. And whatever we take, we can do all things by God. Everything is possible. If you put your heart and mind to it, you can achieve everything. You may not have it all, but when you have your mind and your heart and soul, it is the most perfect thing and peace. It is very special. You don't worry about anything. I don't care if it's going wrong in your life. It doesn't bother you that much. Having a spiritual in your life, teach your children because these things are preparations for the future. Having success meaning having a foundation, good healthiness. Right now, the biggest thing is longevity. They're trying to find out how to prolong their life expansion. When we're trying to figure out how to wear the best clothing and look good, that stuff is material. If you look in your closet, you'll notice that you got everything. It's always good to have your spiritual mind. It's a beautiful thing to know yourself. I can go anywhere on this planet and survive. And you can too. You can do anything you want. Again, I wish and hope that we take our children to a higher level of educating them and letting them know that they can do anything that they want to. We've had success with a lot of young children. But this foundation that they created for us is stagnating us. And these foods are causing headaches, hypertension, aggressiveness, like I explained it, just making difficulty for each other, bumping heads, getting upset easily, stress, everything that breaks you down, distancing you from your spiritual mind. We shouldn't be worried about what they got. We need to keep our focus on our own family. Keep your focus on your family, your kids, and give them the best. Even if it's the neighbor kids, make sure that they have an open door. We need to get alone as parents. Some of the young parents, I wish that they had a place where they can go to and meet some of the older parents. But that is an illusion. But it can happen. It can happen. Like I said, we can put our mind to it. We can succeed. I just want you to know, please make better decisions. Take care of you and your family. Watch what you eat. And if you want to wean yourself down, you will see if you got rid of negative dyes. Right now, they're doing research and they're trying to figure out, why are people of color so aggressive? And they'll lie because they already know. Scientists already have made the knowledge of. But as we know, everything goes around very slowly. Everything moves very strategic. It's a reason why. Time for a break. Power of the common people. Welcome back to the power of the common people. Your host, the most, Marcy for MLK. Like I said, we are living in a fast paced time. Will we be around in the future? Yes, we will. Well, changes are being made every day. We are progressing. But now, as you're looking around, you're seeing how the drug, it seemed to be progressing as well. It's very saddened that if we go in the Bay Area, we still see places that look like 1940s. Everything has remained the same. One of the places that is very shocking is in San Francisco, the Tenderloin. That area should never exist anymore. but it's there because it is a killing spree. It is set up to get rid of uncles, fathers, aunts, mothers, grandfathers, grandmothers, youth, young people, and around the and around and ring around the rosy. How could you live in a environment that have a federal building and drugs are like going to the candy store? And another location that's very sad is Oakland. How could you not put a city together and remove the violence? And if you look at the city itself, some parts of Oakland is very relaxed, and some part of Oakland is chaos. And surrounding those cities, there's violence. Now, when I lived in Santa Cruz, there was no violence. But Santa Cruz is saturated with drugs. It was overwhelming. They are more freer. They get better services. They get a better lifestyle. The food in Santa Cruz is delicious, healthier, and it's for a reason. The food in Oakland is not healthy. The food in San Francisco is disgusting. You cannot find a good, decent restaurant. You might find maybe 5 out of 10, but most likely, good luck. There has been no changes. We've had several presidents. There has been no changes. These are employees. I spoke to a young lady. I'm gonna call her young, that she's really older. She told me that the reason why things are like the way they are is because the border. She said, the president has let a lot of people come into the United States. I did not want to discuss with her that she was wrong. That has nothing to do, the border has nothing to do with what's going on here. In fact, if we dissect anything, this is Mexico. And if we dissect the truth, drugs are made by manhand. It's not coming from the border, it's here. It is designed the same way the guns are. I'm going to continue talking about this because those two, guns and drugs, create money and jail, create the system that's growing, create all the things that you have to give back, restitution. Now your name is on the docket. You have to be in court and getting a job, rehabilitation. That's not going to happen. You see what I'm saying? If we've been going through this year after year and there has been no improvement, and you have been voting, what have they done right? And our children are deprived of a decent life. Now, Santa Cruz, I've never seen something so beautiful. They get to express themselves. They have programs to assist young youth. It's so many things they can do. Why is one side beautiful and the other side destructive? No building up the people, but tearing them down. And the reason why I say that is because in San Francisco, at the Moscone Center, they had a convention. And those 2 weeks, they covered San Francisco downtown all the way to Embarcadero. There was nobody on that street. No homeless person, nobody using drugs. They got rid of all that. And it can be done. Yes, it can. You can clean up your house, sweep it, mop it, disinfect it, the same way you can do your city. All this is a setup for failure. If you was to get arrested right now and your vehicle was taken and you had to do 40, no, let's put 60 days in jail, you would lose everything. Everything. And then where will you go? Back to a relative's house? Starting all over again? Will they give you back your apartment? Will your landlord tell you, oh, you're in jail? Don't worry. I secured your place. You don't have to pay rent. You will lose everything. Every week, the bear is set up to bring them in. Every week, the hospitals are there to deny them half care. When will we be in a secure foundation? We have been doing this for years. Years. I guess we can do a couple of more years, right? Because when our people tried to make a stand and get what they needed, they were called militants, drug users, drug doers, drug pushers. What have the government done for you besides put you in government housing? And if you look at yourself and how you have to live, is it working out for you? Will you do this another 5 years? Will this help you to grow? Are you comfortable where you at? Are you comfortable with what they're doing to you? Are you going to go and vote? Are you going to get anything out of it? Well, these are questions that we don't ask. We got to do more. Power of the common people. Your host, Marcy for MLK. Remember, the M, it stands for Mark. The L stands for Lois. And the K stands for my brother Kenny. Even though Martin Luther King, and it seems as if those are his initials, of course, those also are my brother and sister who is not here. Rest in peace. Thank you for power of the people and the people who has the power of the common people. Good night. I blessing. May the Lord watch over you and your family, and pray and be thankful and grateful. Blessings and peace. Shalom. And I love you guys. Stay strong out there because you are all you got.